Have you finally hit max level after all that grinding? And you wonder to yourself, what the heck do I do now, bro? Don't worry, I got you. I'll be dividing this video into 3 different categories for all the different parts of Blox Fruits. And in total, I'll be showing you 8 things you can do in Blox Fruits after you've reached max level, so let's jump right in. This one doesn't need any explanation or any additional parts to it. It is, you guessed it, PvP. This is by far the most obvious, simple, and arguably the most fun thing to do. Plus there's no better feeling than comboing the living heck out of your opponent and getting a satisfying kill, but hey, that's just me. But all you gotta do to start PvPing is get a fruit or a sword or whatever, and just go crazy, bro. But to be honest, gang, if you're gonna PvP and spam like a headless chicken, that's not gonna get you anywhere and you'll probably get bored of it real quick. Because in reality, although it looks simple, Blox Fruits PvP is a whole ass art to master. And if you want to master the art of PvP, you're going to have to find a build with a fruit that has a good combo to it, which is basically a continuous sequence of multiple moves being used, and one that also suits your playstyle as well. There are 2 types of builds you can choose. You can either be a fruit main, which utilizes the fruit as the main damage dealer, or you can be a sword main, which uses swords as the main damage dealer and fruits as extra support. But when you've chosen your build, at first, you are gonna suck and die over and over again. But you should remember that it's an art, and you don't just master an art overnight. With every death, you are improving slightly, even if you don't think you are. Speaking of improvement, there are a lot of small and big techniques that you can use to improve your PvP as a whole. In fact, I already made a video covering 6 techniques that you can add to your PvP skill set. Some of the more important techniques I mentioned are countricking, which is basically timing your observation at the right time to dodge your opponent's moves, and flash stepping properly and with the right intent, like for setting up a combo, or avoiding your opponent's combo for example. But yeah, I think that's enough yapping about PvP. So let's move on to the next category and the 3 different parts associated with that category. Now this category is what I call grinding. Once you're maxed in Blox Fruits, there's so much new content and to explore. Hold up, I know you might be saying to yourself, I just reached max level, does that mean I still gotta go grind and farm NPCs? To that I say both yes, and no. No, as in you won't need to go from one island to another beating bandits, but yes, you might still need to farm NPCs for a quest requirement or loot. And no, I'm not talking about the level quests, we're way past that, and don't worry, you won't have to grind that much anymore once you're maxed out, trust me. Let me stop yapping and show you what I'm trying to talk about, starting with part 1 out of 3. For part 1 of the grinding category, I'm talking about all of the endgame items you can get once you're maxed out, aka, the best items in Blox Fruits. They are super useful in literally all aspects of the game, such as PvP, grinding, raids. The reason why I blurred out the last one is it's in the next part of the video, so be sure to keep on watching. And when I'm talking about endgame items, I'm talking about fighting styles, swords, guns, accessories. All of the endgame items are not easy to get, but they are the strongest items, so it makes sense. But some require you to complete crazy puzzles, and others require you to fork up a lot of money, fragments, or materials that can take hours to grind for. I'll show you all of the best endgame items you should get. Starting with the fighting style. Firstly, you should get all of the V2 fighting styles, which are the strongest fighting styles that you can possibly get. Especially the Sanguine Art, and Superhuman V2. Now for the swords, there's way too much to list, but I'll rapid fire the most important ones. CDK, Spiky Trident, Shark Anchor, TTK, Dragon Trident, and Gravity Cane. Now for the guns, the only 2 guns that are worth it to grind for are the Skull Guitar, and Dragon Storm. Last but not least, for accessories, just get an accessory that's versatile like the Kitsune Ribbon. Or one that boosts your speed and dash distance. But now let's move on to the next part of grinding. Ever since update 20, this feature has been a major part of the game for maxed players. And I'm talking about the sea events.
Are you serious right now?
Sea events are a whole new world to explore in Blox Fruits, and that's me speaking from experience. There are dozens of sea events to explore, such as the Kitsune Island, Prehistoric Island, and the best one of all, the Leviathan. All of the major sea events can give you insanely good rewards, and some of the best endgame items are obtainable through sea events. If you want to have the best possible swords and guns, you'll have to enchant them with scrolls. And the only way to obtain scrolls is through, you guessed it, hunting for the right sea events. There's so much more I can yap about with sea events, such as the rest of the sea events, but I think I've already yapped enough. So let's move on to the last part for the grinding category. When the game updates, which is probably as rare as finding the One Piece, the update will probably have some new content for Max players to enjoy. Let's take the latest updates for example, but in those 6 updates, the devs added fishing, and the temporary celebration events like the Red King, and celestial events. If you're maxed and you got nothing better to do in Blox Fruits, you should at least check out the new content in Blox Fruits. Especially the temporary events. And with the Halloween update coming in Blox Fruits, I don't think you'd want to miss out on all the potential rewards it has to offer. Aight, so that's basically it for the grinding category. Now I'll show you the last category, which will also have 3 parts to it. So this category is basically about collecting/farming a lot of fruits. But what's the point of having a lot of fruits if you're not gonna eat them? If you all didn't know, you can actually trade your fruits for Robux items. But keep in mind that you'll need hella good fruits in order to even trade for a Robux item in the first place. And to be quite honest, it's pretty satisfying to have a lot of good fruits in your inventory, and it's pretty fun to grind for fruits. Aight, so this one is pretty obvious, and it's trading. Now I know most of you all probably know how to trade. But all you gotta do is sit in one of these seats with a table in front of it and wait till someone sits in front of you and vice versa. There's 2 ways you can trade. The first way is public server trading, and the second way to trade is through another platform outside of Roblox such as Discord for example. From my experience, I found it to be faster to find a trade through an external platform like Discord rather than waiting for someone in a public server. So in order to trade through Discord, firstly, you gotta make an account, and secondly, you gotta join a Blox Fruits related Discord server. Then just jump into the trading channel and start trading. But before you trade, you should learn the values of each fruit. So you don't take an L trade. That's where the Blox Fruits value list comes in. So once you've loaded it up, just click on value list and voila, all of the values of every fruit, permanent fruit, and game pass are on your fingertips. Services is basically doing a favor for someone in Blox Fruits, so it could be a raid, race v4 trials, or anything for that matter. And in return for you doing that favor, they will pay you with a fruit. So in order to start services, you'll need to use Discord to get customers. You'll need to choose the service that you're gonna advertise to other people. Like raid services for example, and then you're gonna write down the service that you're selling and you're also gonna write down your prices as well. Here's a good example of what your text should look like. And now you should copy your text and paste it into a Blox Fruits related Discord server. Also make sure to paste it into the right channel as well. This was just a brief explanation of services and how they work. But we got one more part to cover in this video. Finally, we have made it to the last thing you can do if you've just reached max level. This method is what I call fruit farming. But this method is a bonus/side method because you won't be able to do it all of the time, and here's why. But basically, yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment 6-7, but yeah.